Hi, my name is Melissa Dreskus. I'm the owner of ABC Behavior Training and the author of the Behavior Analyst Supervision Curriculum, and I am so excited to come to you today and give you a little sneak peek of our newest update, the 6th edition Test Content Outline, Supervisee Workbook, and Supervisor Guide. So this is sold as a 2-book set, one workbook for the supervisor and one workbook for the supervisee, and you can buy additional add-on supervisee workbooks for whatever number of supervisees that you have. Now, if you are familiar with my supervision curriculum, if you were using the last version, which was for the 4th edition and 5th edition test content outline, or task list as it was called then, you are familiar with how this curriculum is so different than anything out there. Not only does it guide you through the supervision process, but it gives you literally everything that you need for that entire experience. You have comprehension assignments to test their conceptual knowledge. You have applied assignments to test the applied knowledge. There's mock exams, supervisor evaluation forms, and then the supervisor guide gives you all the teaching tips that you need. Well, if you really loved that curriculum, you are just going to be blown away by this one because it is so much more than what the first one was. Let's take a little look at what's inside. So one thing you're going to notice is that the bones, the framework of our initial curriculum is still there. We still have 4 main sections going over foundational concepts and behavior analysis, behavior change basics, assessment and report writing, and decreasing behavior, and advanced topics. And the units under those, most of them are similarly named as well. But if you have been using that previous curriculum that we have, you will see that all of the comprehension assignments, all of the links and resources, the mock exams, all of that has been reworked and refreshed for a completely new supervision experience. I've also expanded the curriculum into some areas that are really vital for the 6th edition test content outline, such as talking about cultural competency, not just in one additional unit, but throughout all of the units that is relevant for, whether it be supervision, assessment, understanding how should we be changing behavior in socially significant ways. So that's a big shift that's been added to the curriculum throughout all of the content that you can see. We also are starting out with an introduction section, which is going over all of the BACB supervision requirements, doing an orientation to supervision assignment, making sure that supervisees and supervisors are on the same page starting out with the supervision experience. And then we have a bonus section that's added towards the end here, which again didn't exist in our previous versions, which is called Entering the Field of ABA. This bonus section goes over 4 additional units, which can be used at the end of supervision or even once somebody comes a BCBA and using these topics as mentorship opportunities, where we will go over the introduction to the BCBA career, career specialization, trauma-informed care, and ABA outside the box, and other things that we can do with our degree and our experience in behavior analysis. So that is a really exciting new option that's added to this as well. And then we also have completely reworked supervisor and supervisee evaluations, an index, the test content outline, competency assessments, all of those same things that you really loved from the first version of this curriculum as well. Let's take a sneak peek through some of the content in the Supervisee workbook. So we have some initial information that is going to help somebody start supervision the right way, be on the same page with the supervisor, understand all of the requirements for supervision, make sure they're ready, and also demonstrate that knowledge in an orientation quiz. And then as we get into section 1, you'll see some of these familiar topics that you've seen before, but you also have a grade book included in here where you can track and assign due dates, score all of the assignments in one place, get the percentages, and then track their progress over time. Every unit that you have, it's going to come with an introduction, a QR link to easily go and get the clickable links online, key terms, required materials, and then recommended reading, as well as a comprehension assignment, applied assignment, and a feedback summary form. Now, all of this is in the Supervisee workbook. So if you're a Supervisee and you want to purchase this for yourself to use in supervision, or if you want to use this to study for your upcoming exam, absolutely you can do that. If you're a supervisor and you're getting this for your Supervisee or multiple supervisees that you have, you want to make sure that each one has their own book, because as the supervisor, you're going to be writing in here, giving them their feedback, grading all of their assignments, scoring the scoring rubric for all of their applied assignments, all right in their one book. So that book is going to be super important for them. They're going to carry it through the entire supervision experience and use it as their study guide as they prepare for the exam. Now, the supervisor guide is something that I am so excited about, because this is where, aside from the expansion on the different units that we have and expansion into those topics, looking deeper into those topics, the supervisor guide has had a complete makeover. It is going to give you so much more information and support that you need throughout this supervision experience to make sure that you are comfortable in providing supervision to create the next generation of confident and competent behavior analysts. So let's take a quick peek inside. Of course, we have the same setup for the orientation. There's going to be some general information and tips for you as the supervisor for successful supervision. But then as we get into the actual content, the supervisor guide portion has been greatly expanded. Now, for every unit, you are still going to get the same information as the supervisee, where you're going to see what their assignment is, the key terms, the required materials, the recommended reading, all of that you're going to be able to see. But then something that's really special and much more expanded than what we've had previously is the actual supervisor guide. So for every single unit, you're going to get an overview of the unit, which is specifically directed towards you as the supervisor, so you know what it is the supervisee should be taught in that unit. You're going to have key learning objectives, so you know the direction that you should be going in, what you should be focusing on, and what the goal of this unit is. Then we have supervisor teaching tips. Now, this is going to go more in depth and very specific to each unit as to some areas that might be confusing for supervisees, things that you should pay attention to, give a little bit more time to as you're teaching the unit. Then reviewing applied competencies. So every unit is going to have an applied assignment, as we looked at, which you can see here, where there's going to be something that you should be observing with the client, a written assignment that you're going to be reviewing, and then a scoring rubric where you can score your supervisee's performance on that applied assignment. And then here in the supervisor guide, you're going to have some tips for reviewing the applied competencies. So some things that you should be looking for and making sure your supervisee is mastering when they are actually applying these concepts. And then we have individual supervision discussion points. So some questions and talking points that you should be going over with your supervisee in your one-to-one meetings. And then something that I just think is really useful is group supervision guidance. Now, maybe you only do individual supervision, but maybe you do or potentially want to provide group supervision. Group supervision is a great way to provide learning to a larger group. It's going to make your supervision more efficient because you won't necessarily have to spend all of that time individually. And it's actually really good for supervisees because they get to learn in a group of their peers, and they also will get some practice in teaching these concepts to others. So every single unit, again, that's going to be across over 4 sections with at least 8 units each section. Every single one of them is going to have a group supervision guidance. It's going to have a topic for that group supervision. It's going to have some talking points or questions that you should be going over in that group supervision meeting. Then there's going to be a case sharing option where you could have your supervisees each present something about a case that they're working with that's related to that topic. And then also a presentation option where you can have your supervisees actually stand up and present something for a few minutes in the group related to that topic. You can do both of those things, either of those things, or just make it a teaching group supervision based on the topic and those talking points. You can really use this in whatever way that you want. And I guarantee you, you're going to have more content for group supervision than you probably are going to need. So you can kind of pick and choose, or you can go through all of them over the course of your supervision experience. But that's something that we have not had before that I think is going to be a real game changer for making your supervision more effective and more efficient. And then, of course, although I'm not going to show it here in this video, you are also going to get all of the correct answers and information for all of the comprehension assignments that are in the Supervisee workbooks, whether they are short answers, fill in the blanks, multiple choice questions, whatever it is, you're going to have an answer to go along with it, which is going to just help your supervision be more consistent and more objective as you are providing supervision across multiple supervisees. And then one final thing I want to touch on the Supervisee workbook before I leave you today, excited to hop on and get this curriculum to start using right away, is going to be the feedback forms. So at the end of every unit is a feedback summary in the Supervisee workbook where the supervisor is going to meet with the supervisee and go over all of the feedback for the comprehension assignment, the applied assignments, go over the checklist, make sure everything was completed, review which test content items have been practiced, and talk about strengths and areas to improve for that unit. Now, when you finish each section, there is also going to be a final feedback form, which is similar to that, where you will be going over everything for that entire section, final exam feedback, strengths, areas to improve on the section as a whole. There's also a test content competency section where the supervisee is going to be assessing their competencies on all of the test content outline items that were covered in each of the units. This is going to help look at progress over time, as well as identify any areas that need to be worked on a little bit more before moving to the next section. And then, of course, we have our final mock exam as well, which for every section 1 through 4 is going to be a 50-question mock exam, which should be treated as closely as the BACB exam as possible, where it's not an open book test. You should time it to match up similarly to the exam for the BCBA or BCABA exam, and it should be done in a test-like setting, because that is going to help you be as prepared as possible, not just with the content, but also getting used to the setting and the environment for taking the test, and help you be prepared when you're done with supervision to take and pass your exam to become a behavior analyst. There was nothing like the previous behavior analyst supervision curriculum that we had, nothing else out there that was quite like it, giving you the level of materials to take you through the whole supervision experience. And now the 6th edition test content outline version has went above and beyond our previous version. So I hope that if you are a supervisor, that you can get this and use this with your supervisees to provide high quality, effective supervision. Or if you are a supervisee and you are struggling to get unrestricted hours, you're struggling to get high quality supervision, that you can get this and use this in your supervision experience with your supervisor. It's going to make it a lot easier for them to provide you with effective supervision, and you can use this to prep for your exam as well. I hope this supervision curriculum makes your supervision experience much more effective, efficient, and allow you to create the next generation of confident, competent behavior analysts. Make sure to check it out using the link below, and be sure to reach out to me with any questions you have. If you are a company, organization, or university and you want to use this curriculum with your supervisees, be sure to reach out to me because I do also offer bulk discounts for larger purposes for group settings. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this resource.